Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, guys, brother Ammar and sister Hannah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa
Thank you so much for having us.
Alhamdulillah. How are you guys feeling today?
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, what do you guys do today?
Today
Which is a relaxing day.
yes,
Saturday is a very relaxing day.
Alhamdulillah, we get to do this amazing podcast with you today, so we're very excited to be here. So
And it's a nice catch-up session.
It
for
is.
all of us, yeah.
Yes, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
We are so happy, very excited to have both of you in our podcast. And I'm sure we're going to really benefit from this episode. And the people out there, the audience, are really going to resonate with this topic. So without further ado, before we go into the crux of the matter, let's talk a little bit more about you guys. We want to know more about you. I'm sure the audience want to know more about you guys. What's your story? What's your background? And how did you guys go into life coaching?
Beautiful.
And what is life coaching? And when did you find the need that to really coach Muslims to find their life partner?
Beautiful. So I'll start it off with saying that how did I come across the world of life coaching? What is life coaching? So I was a high school teacher, alhamdulillah, for many years. Loved my job, was so great at my job, loved my students. Though I didn't want to go up the hierarchy of my school. Like for me, being head of department, all of that just didn't seem, it was too political for me. For me, I was like, I wanted to create more change. I was very much a visionary. And so I sort of started to get bored of what I was doing. And I was like, there's something more. Like, I know there's something more for me. And then I came across a life coach. A life coach came into the school and she was delivering like a workshop about self-esteem to the girls. I was like, wow, that's a thing you can study. I love personal development. I didn't realize there was a whole discipline that you could study. I always thought like life coaches were wannabe psychologists. I didn't actually know what they did. I thought it was just like an under discipline. It's not really credible, whatever. And so after she left, I went and searched about life coaching, and then I came across a life coaching school, and you can get accredited and you could study it for 3 years and you get certificates and you learn about what life coaching was. And I was like, yeah, this is definitely what I want. And the intention of me studying life coaching with this school in Melbourne was I wanted to learn more about myself first. Like I wanted to go on that personal development journey for myself. And the second thing is I wanted to bring that into the school with the students. I wanted to be the one that was running the workshops. I wanted to be the one that introduced all of these initiatives and programs. And so that was my intention. And so I studied life coaching, fell in love with it. And I was like, oh my God, this is so aligned with actually Islamic principles and Islam. I was like, I want to continue studying this. And through that experience, I felt like I learned a lot about who I was and my values and my mission in life and my purpose. And so I then reached a point where I was like, okay, what do I now do with this? Like information. Okay. So I went to my principal and I said, listen, we need to have a life coach at the school for the students. Let's make a position. Like, let's
You initiated it.
Yes.
You need this.
You need this. So I told him, let's make a life coach. He's like, oh yeah, let's merge it with a career advisor because we actually don't have a career advisor at the moment. So we literally made a whole brand new job description for it. They're like, but to be fair, we need to open it up to the rest of the teachers and do interviews. I'm like, yeah, sure. We did the interview process. Long story short, I got the job.
You got selected.
I got selected, alhamdulillah. Imagine after all that, I didn't get selected. That'd be so sad. And then in that process, I was thinking to myself, actually, do I just want to stay at the school or do I want to do something bigger for myself? And so while I was doing the job interview, my heart sort of started to change, thinking, oh, actually, no, I think it's actually time that I leave the school. It's time that I do my own thing. It's time that I expand. It's time that I reach more people. And so I went to my principal and I said, well, thank you for offering me the job. I'm gonna say thank you, and I'm also gonna resign at the same time. And he's like, what? He almost fell off his chair. It's like he wasn't expecting that. And then when I told him, like, yeah, I'm gonna go off on my own and start my own coaching business and help Muslim women.
women.
At the time, it was a very broad niche, and I also want to go and help more schools. I don't want to just be limited to one school. He was very happy with that. So so that was my journey into life coaching. For me, it changed my life, and it helped me develop myself personally in so many aspects. And then it helped me then go into schools and work with different types of women as well. So alhamdulillah, that's what life coaching is. So life coaching is a discipline that helps people understand who they are, what their blocks are, and help themselves move forward in their lives. So it helps create mindset shifts for themselves, and then leaves them feeling so empowered to make whatever decision they need to in their life.
I remember when I asked you, you told me that life coaches don't give you advice.
Yes.
And I was like, what? Am I paying for that?
I guess that's what people really think.
Yeah.
That life coach is all about, just telling you what to do or just giving you advice. I guess it's not then.
No, not at all. We don't give advice. We actually, what we are doing as life coaches is we're listening and we're feeding back what you are saying to us so that you can say, like, we're holding up basically a mirror for you then to say, I didn't realize that's what I'm thinking. I didn't realize, that's the block that I have. And then you feel empowered to then solve your own problem rather than me saying, actually, here's the solution.
Here's the solution. Yeah.
Nobody
you
really
do not
Yes.
basically, you don't spoon feed.
Yes.
So you open up, basically you're opening up their mind to a
Yes.
broader vision, I
Yes.
guess. What about you, Brother Ammar? How did you get into the whole life coaching scene?
I think it's Hannah. Since we met, I think she was the one who's planted the seed. I remember the first
the
time.
seed of love or coaching?
Well, it's both.
Mashallah.
So she used to tell me, wow, you got really high emotional intelligence and you'd be a great coach. And she kept planting the seeds even after we got married. And I think the first time I decided to get enrolled and start my studying journey was 1 year after marriage, I think.
Mashallah.
Yeah, so...
No, a
and
couple of months. It was actually a couple of months, maybe 3 months, 4 months. Whatever the time.
we always, we've been married for a year and a half.
Yeah, it does.
We always think it 5, 10 years.
It was 5 years.
Mashallah, because you guys do a lot of things together.
Yeah.
We
Time
do.
goes very fast.
I just want to add, Ammar has always been very fascinated in how people think and minds and thought processes. And I just want to, and he always wants to challenge his own thinking. And why do I think that way? So
I dabbed even before meeting Hannah into the realm of person development and coaching. But as you know, there's a lot of fuss about coaches and are they really real? Do they really help you? Are they scammers? So that's
But
really
I'm sure that there could be a lot of scammers out there.
Yeah. And people who really don't have any studies backed by it.
Qualification.
Yeah.
So what was the name of the course that one has to enroll in?
So there are many, depending on where you stay. And basically, I did the same one as Hannah did. It was in the
the Coaching Institute in
Australia.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about it is because you not only are studying and you're practicing it.
So there's a practical aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
They make you go through a series of coaching sessions, and that's the reality of it. Like you learn how to hold a coaching session, how to help people actually.
Yeah.
Basically, other coaches to make it easier for you. But it gets real.
Yeah.
I remember in my first coaching session, the lady started crying. I'm like, what did I do?
So I guess the umbrella or life coach is a huge umbrella. So when did you guys kind of go into focusing on helping Muslims find their soul planet? Yeah. So how did that, or when did that happen?
Okay. So when did that happen was because I went through my own journey of trying to find the one, and I knew that it was a big struggle. So just to give you a little bit of a recap about my story and my timeline was, okay, I was learning about myself. I wanted to get married. I was 29. I had never been in a relationship, and that I carried a lot of shame around that previously. Like, well, all these other girls have guys knocking on their doors and been in a relationship. Why haven't I found the one yet? And so through coaching, it empowered me to get to know myself better and realize, hey, actually, I don't need to carry shame around that. I can actually let go of that, and I can empower myself to find the tools and find the man of my dreams. And so at the same time, through going through that coaching journey, when my mum had passed away, like I had previously like expected that my mama was going to be the one that's going to hook me up and find me somebody. And so when my mum passed away, I realized actually I don't have that. I need to go out and find my husband. And so I created like a system for myself where I felt I knew my values, I knew what I was looking for. So how do I go about to find him then? Okay, so I know what I'm looking for. I'm very clear. Where does this man exist? And so I created a series of tools for myself through my life coaching that helped empower me to then find Ammar, alhamdulillah. And that was many things. It was creating this beautiful dream dua, busting dua as I call it, that got me so excited and it gave me so much hope and tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I will get married. It wasn't like, oh, if it happens. It was like when it will happen. So it was a complete different mindset shift. It wasn't like, like this is so hard to find someone. It's like, no, I'm excited to go on this journey to find this husband of mine. And I'll tell you a little bit about this dua that I created. It was this beautiful dua where it's a future moment dua. Like, what do I want to experience in the future with my husband, my dream husband? That gave me just like excitement. So it was, Ya Jabbar, choose for me a man that you love, so that on my wedding day he'll whisper to me, I love you, Hannah. And for me, that was just such a beautiful dua, because I'm like, it's going to happen. Like I had full yaqeen, it's going to happen. And every time I made dua, rather than, Ya Allah, give me a husband, it was saying that dua, and that made me so excited. Like, oh my God, I am going to find this man. Allah is going to open the way for me, and I am going to find this man of my dreams, inshallah.
Can I just ask a question? Why did you use the name Ya Jabbar?
Because I felt like my heart was broken after I lost my mum. And so the word, the name Ya Jabbar is the healer of the brokenhearted. So that's why I'm like, you know what, I'm going to use this name, because I love that name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then I created this beautiful vision board where I put pictures of like, yeah, inshallah, this is what I imagine it could look like. And there was this photo of this man and this woman, and she had her hand around his hand like this. And he was wearing a grey jumper. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to take this to the next level, because, you know, in our deen, we're told to tie our camel and do action and tie our camel. So I'm like, what else could I do? Yes, I'm doing dua, but what else could I do? Let's go out and buy my husband a present. And that gave me so much excitement, like, oh, going shopping for my husband. Oh my God, that's so exciting. So I went into the shops. I had no idea what I was going to buy. I'm like, what do I buy my future husband? Like, I don't know, perfume, I don't know. So as soon as I stepped into Maya, which is one of the shops in Australia, the first thing, subhanAllah, I see is the grey jumper. I was like, I have to buy it. I ignored everything. But then I was like, but what's his size? Ya Allah, I don't know what his size is. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get an extra large. Bismillah, inshallah, it fits him. And then I went to the lady, like when I was buying it, I'm like, so what's your exchange policy? She's like, 30 days. I'm like, okay, I have 30 days to find him if the size is wrong. Alhamdulillah.
They're very strict with their return policy.
Yes, they are very strict with their return policy. So that was one aspect, was the dua, that I had this hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that it will happen for me. And then I decided to go online, and we'll talk more about the online space in the future, in the rest of the podcast. Yes, inshallah. So in that, I had the tools to navigate the online space very successfully, and it only took me 3 weeks to find Ammar on the app. Just by
how many weeks?
3 weeks.
MashaAllah.
And it's not because it's magic or it's a dream.
Because you see
it was
very
within
objective.
the 30 days.
It was within the 30 days.
Alhamdulillah.
When she gave me the jumper, no, there was.
Oh no, I didn't give him the jumper with
but
it.
It was.
Yes,
You found him
I found him with the yes.
Can I just say,
Yes.
at the moment when you're describing all this, going to the shops, I'm envisioning how the angels are witnessing this, how Allah is watching this, you know, that full tawakkul, you know. It just gives you goosebumps.
Love that you said that. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Because that's what Allah wants of us, right? And so when I was on the online space, rather like I had the tools to start a conversation, end the conversation, ask really great questions. My profile was like, I knew what to write on my profile, because your profile attracts the type of man that you want. And so I knew how to really craft a profile to attract that high value man that I was seeking.
Tricks.
I used tricks, did I?
And thank God for those tricks.
Alhamdulillah.
You need to tell them what that tricks
You
is.
tell them what the tricks were.
Well, in her profile, she later told me about this. In her profile, she mentioned that I'm working on my business. I recently started my own business.
With no other information about that, just like I just recently started my business.
So when we matched and we started talking, I was like what business? Like what business? that for me it was an obvious question.
Yeah.
And later on, I found out like she purposely said it's a business. Like she did not mention what she's doing.
So that you might ask.
Yes.
It's part of finding if people are curious.
Yes.
Curious about it.
Yeah. So I purposely in my profile left things that were open-ended.
That's so cool.
So that I could see how curious is a man when he's chatting with me. And because curiosity is very, very important. So I was trying to gauge his level of curiosity. Is he just going to speak about himself the whole time, or is he going to ask curious questions also about me? So the bio was very, very important. The types of photos I put were very important on there. And also knowing when to end the conversation. So I have a lot of single Muslim women that work with me right now, and they come to me and they're like, I don't know when to call it quits with a guy. Like, am I giving him a chance enough, or am I being too judgmental too soon? Alhamdulillah, through the tools, I actually knew when to end the conversation with a potential, like, okay, no, this is not working. My time is my most valuable asset. That's what I had at the top of my mind. My time is my most valuable asset. And so alhamdulillah, that enabled me to then find Ammar and then navigate our relationship together because I had the tools. And so the reason why we started working with single Muslim women to help them find love is because we realized this is an area where there isn't much support and tools. There's heaps of relationship stuff. There's heaps
when you get married.
Yeah, when you get married, but there's not enough we found of when you are single. And we could see that there are so many singles out there that are searching for the one and are feeling very frustrated and are getting in their 30s and feeling like their biological clock is ticking. And so we found like it made only sense that like we need to help these women. And naturally these women started coming to me saying, Hannah, you got married. Tell us what you did. I'm so willing to do all of the work and invest in myself. Just teach me how I can do the same steps, how I can then find the one. So that's why we felt like it's just our duty, like to help single Muslims.
And I'm sure a lot of people will really benefit from. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
There are a lot of ladies that don't realize, like, is there actually something that I can do in my power to get married?
Or do you just wait?
See how it's two different stories, and it's so enabling to understand that you can actually work on yourself.
You can do objectively.
Upgrade your mindset and work on yourself. Basically, upgrade yourself with the tools that Hannah just mentioned. In order to have a better, because honestly, like a lot of the ladies also that come to Hannah, they reject people without knowing, like without giving them a fair chance. And just because their mindset is they need to upgrade their mindset, honestly. So there are many things that you can actually do.
There's a lot of tools that you can actually use, mashallah.
Yes.
What about men?
I think it's just a bit harder for men to express their feelings.
It's very vulnerable.
Was a guy who's really committed to the process. But I find it, as you said, it's very hard for him to actually express what he's really feeling and what's going through his mind. And honestly, without being vulnerable and expressing what you really truly feel and think about, it's gonna be hard to have that progress.
I truly believe that with the work that you guys are doing, it's going to have an impact on women, firstly, and then on their families, and then men would come by.
Yes, inshallah.
And I think women, generally, we have our mothers to rely on or a family member. And there are women that don't have a reliance or someone that could give them the correct advice. So I think you guys are providing not only a tool for women, for the families as well, and then inshallah men will come.
Inshallah. Because that's the most beautiful thing, is that when you work on yourself when you're single and getting these tools, like the ladies that are currently in the program that we're offering, the Single to Married course, they're learning so much about, for example, how to set boundaries, how to say no, how to show up for themselves, how to look after themselves. And these are vital skills will then will help them in their future marriages and help them in their relationship with their husbands. So alhamdulillah, it sets them up for a lot of success. So when you do the work while you're single, you're actually benefiting your future marriage and your future husband, inshallah.
Inshallah. Beautiful. Thank you for the beautiful introduction to yourself. I mean, it's beautiful. So with our other guests, normally we would do a rapid fire round. But since you guys have a very niche expertise, we want to ask you this question: a green flag and red flag. So what are the top? So for example, if you want to meet your potential spouse, okay? So what are the top green flags that indicate someone is a great match, and what are the red flags that people really should watch out for when considering a marriage partner? What would you say?
Bismillah.
Bismillah. Okay. Green flags look like commitment. And when I say commitment, actually what they say, like, I will speak to your dad, I'll speak to your brother, I'll get my family involved. That's a really great green flag. If he involves his family and then he wants to include your family.
So number one would be commitment. Those who are committed.
Commitment, okay. Yeah. Second thing I would say is consistency, like showing up consistently in the relationship, not this hot and cold. That's the opposite. That's a red flag. Yeah. Showing up consistently in the relationship through communication. Mm-hmm.
I'm just ticking Azim off.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Do you want to add to that?
What would be
third
one
green flag?
Third green flag, like when you see, you know.
Honestly, the way I would love to answer this is the way you feel about the person.
So feeling.
You need to check in with yourself and see, is it easy for me to deal with this person? If I feel good, that means it's good. If there are things, because you'll feel it in your body, you'll feel it, you're going to think about it. He did something I really don't like. But sometimes we brush it off and we think like, it doesn't really matter. You have other things. And that's the way I love to answer about like green and red flags, not putting any stresses on, but definitely the points that Hannah mentioned is like very important in especially in the online space. Yeah.
How you feel is really important, because if there is a red flag, you will feel it. Like you'll intuitively feel like, oh, hey, this doesn't feel right, or hey, I don't know if I'm comfortable about this. And if it is a green flag, as Ammar said, you will also feel it. You feel like, hey, I am really keen about this person, and I love that the way that they're showing up and how they're consistent.
And I guess a green flag and red flag is also subjective.
Yes.
Isn't it? For different people.
I think what Hannah said, there's no I don't think it's subjective.
Yeah.
Maybe
being present, like if the person is not showing up.
This is good.
I don't know, Hannah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's actually subjective. I believe that there needs to be core principles in there, like commitment. You can't say that that's subjective. That needs to be there. Otherwise, you really don't have
I guess what I meant was more like the level of it.
The level of commitment,
would that be subjective, or still there should be
there should be a minimum requirement of what that is, because we get women messaging us all the time where they've been speaking to someone for 7 months and they're absolutely heartbroken because it didn't work out. And we realized through the conversation with them, there was actually no commitment. There was no commitment conversation. And so this is how you mitigate a lot of heartbreak, is by having that commitment conversation earlier on. Like your time is so valuable. And that's the most important thing that we need to stress, is that you don't just give away your time to some guy because you have a great connection. And that's sometimes the pitfall that women fall into. Like, I feel really good about this guy. Our connection's amazing. We talk for hours. Amazing, beautiful, that's a green flag. But if there's no commitment, that's a red flag. Like,
what about vice versa, when a woman is not committed?
Same thing. It's the same thing. Like it
has to be there.
Has to be there. Otherwise, you don't really have a relationship. You're just chatting with someone, and you start fantasizing about what's possible. So red flags, on the other hand, would be like inconsistent communication, speaking badly about ex-partners, and and ex-relationships and making big generalizations like, oh, all women that I've gotten to know are crazy and they were all manipulative, and there's no sense of personal responsibility in those relationships. So say, for example, a guy comes to me and I'm single and he's telling me about all of his past exes and how terrible they were. But there's no personal responsibilities for how those relationships ended and his role in it, then I would say that's a red flag. It takes two to end a relationship. It takes two to have the pitfall. So yeah, not taking personal responsibility for how things go, show a lack of immaturity, and just blame. So yeah, I would say that's another red flag that you would want to avoid. Yeah.
So I have a question for you. So what if someone tells you...
Everyone's interviewing me today.
Yeah, what if someone, I don't know, always late?
Yeah.
Would you consider as like what is the standard for the red flags?
Oh, I love that question. I love that you brought that up. So if someone is always late, and they're not taking personal responsibility and they're not putting in strategies and they're not communicating, then I would say that's a red flag. So it's patterns. So I love that you reminded me of that. Thank you. He asked me a question to prompt me. So red flags are patterns.
Coaching is.
Yes, exactly. You're coaching now.
Red flags are patterns. So it's not just a one-off behavior. So say someone's late once. That's not a red flag necessarily. It's consistency in that behavior and not there's no change, then that becomes a red flag. So when they're consistently late, or for example, they're consistently speaking bad about ex-partners.
So you can't really judge a person by a once-off.
Yes, it's not
bad
fair.
thing.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Because we all have pitfalls. We can always do the mistake. I could be angry for maybe not sleeping.
Yeah.
You know,
you just had a bad day on that day. Yeah.
So you cannot have a conclusion about a person in one situation. You need to have multiple situations. Then you can have and honestly, the way you need to discuss the red flag.
Yeah. So if you say a red flag, it doesn't mean like, oh my God, red flag, that's it, I need to end the conversation, the relationship. There's something you can do about it. And that's what Ammar is saying.
It's basically you can communicate like, hey, this happened. Let's talk about it. And you see the other person's reaction. Are they willing to talk about it? Are they shutting you off? Or this is like, are they giving you the space? Are they comfortable to discuss it, or they're shutting you down? So,
and it's beautiful because then that means a red flag can then turn into a green flag. So if, say, for example, you are speaking to someone and say, for example, you bring up a consistent behavior that you don't like and you put down that beautiful boundary in a very beautiful way. Hey, I feel this way when you do this, and I would appreciate it if XYZ happens. And that other person responds and they change their behavior and they start doing the opposite of that, then that now becomes a green flag, because that's beautiful.
So red flag does not mean that it's an X.
No.
It could mean that you can just work on it. It's
Yes.
something that you can work on.
Well, sometimes again, because there are really big red flags.
Yes.
For instance, for women, it's like someone could be hiding a marriage.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Hiding information,
Hiding
abusive, violent, like emotionally toxic, all of those.
Okay,
We're
so
not-
maybe that's...
Yeah,
That's
we're not talking.
major-
We're not talking
major-
about the major
Yeah,
red
yeah.
flags. Those are, of course, that would be an
Yeah.
X, and that's better for you to move on and end that, and not even waste your time there. But we're talking about like behaviors,
Nuance,
you know, like for example, he didn't message you back one day, and you could say, "Oh my God, he ghosted me." Though, if you do bring it up and he does change his behavior and he takes personal responsibility, that then becomes a green flag.
Okay.
Can I just say what I found really interesting? Hannah said, I feel like this when you do this.
Yes.
The way you normally would do it. Why are you always late?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are you late? Why you didn't turn up?
Yeah.
So you didn't even use the word you. You
Yeah.
went with I.
Because that's
That was very
blame language. That's blame language, and so when you do blame language, they're gonna take it as
react.
criticism, and they're gonna be defensive, and that's actually not gonna allow the conversation. So when you talk about it from your perspective, hey, I feel this way. So you're talking about your emotion when you do this. You're telling the person, this is what I feel about your behavior, and this is such a vital tool to bring into your marriage and your relationship. Knowing how to bring up when something is not right, using that language just changes, because the other person will be responsive, inshallah, to you when you mention it like that, rather than you're always late. What's wrong with you? I hate that. Yeah. So
Inshallah. That's really nice. Thank you so much.
I want to add to this. I remember once, like we started talking. I remember that when I used to hear her talk or chat, I'd think she's an alien. I swear.
Which planet is this?
Who talks like this? Who speaks like this?
MashaAllah, subhanAllah.
It's
And-
worded properly.
And I just want to say this. This is learnable. It's an added skill. She was not born like this.
I think she was. No.
when you refuse to learn something, that she was.
No, when you love your friend too much.
Yeah, I really want to go. I really want to touch on the next topic, which is the verses of effort and tawakkul. And I mean, being Muslims, we have this strong idea of relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for any of our affairs, and obviously on the affairs of marriage and finding the right person. This a really, really important question to ask is, with marriage or with finding the right person, a lot of effort has to be done. But how much, when do you draw a line? Is there a line where you can say, I've done this much effort to find the right person, now it's time for me to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or is it from the very beginning, it should be relying on Allah? How do you actually manage that?
Bismillah. I'll always give you the head start.
Those things are not in conflict with one another. Actually, doing tawakkul and taking action should be done simultaneously with each. Like, it's not like
Sorry, doing tawakkul and what?
doing tawakkul and taking action.
Taking action.
It's not something that I just do action, then I do tawakkul. It's something that's done consistently throughout the whole process. Like, a story that I love to mention that is so beautiful is the story of Hajar alayhi salam, the wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam, when she was in the middle of the desert with her newborn baby, and she could have easily just given up and been like, that's it, khalas, I've run out of supplies, I'm dead, you know, why did Allah do this to me, you know, why did Allah leave me, why did Ibrahim leave me in the middle? She could have said all of those things, but no, she didn't. She had tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the get-go, where she asked Ibrahim, did Allah order you to do this? And he said yes, and then she said, go, Allah is with us. Like, she had this full trust that from the get-go Allah is with her. And even when she fell into difficulty, she didn't just lose hope. She got up and she ran between Safa and Marwa. And what does that go to show? Like, what does her story teach us? That we do need to have tawakkul and action simultaneously. It's not like you just do the action to find the spouse, then you do tawakkul. It's everything done simultaneously at the same time. Yeah.
But when, how much of the effort has to be done? Is it until the very end? Like, or is there a time where you just say, like, I can't do anything anymore? Can that time be there where you can just say, I've done whatever I could?
Honestly, the way I would look at it is like, it's personal development.
Okay.
And you would never reach to a level where you'd be like, you know what? I'm perfect. I'm never going to change anything in me. So there will always be levels upon levels upon levels. You reach one level and be like, I can do that, and I can do that. Like, there's no maximum, you know? But when it comes to marriage, I believe there must be a start to it, because what we're seeing from the limited experience that we have right now is that people actually don't understand that they can actually take action. Especially the ladies, they're like, we're just gonna wait.
Or maybe they just don't know what the actions are. So they'll be like, okay, this is it. I've done enough. And when in reality, actually, you haven't done much.
Yeah, 100%.
So I guess it's the knowledge of the action.
Yeah, because I get women come to me and say, I've tried everything. And again, that's a limiting belief, because once I prod them, like, okay, really, have you tried everything? Like, they realize, actually there's a whole nother world I can discover and learn about myself and learn the tools and all of that. And so that's why Ammar's point is so beautiful, because when you look at, you know, finding your spouse as a journey of personal development, there's actually no end point, and you're actually learning so much about yourself in that journey. Will there be times in your journey where you feel like, oh my God, I'm tired and I feel like I've done so much? Of course you feel that way, and that's why you lean upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in those times where you just feel so tired and you feel like, I've done so much, and I just want Allah to help propel me. And that's where we lean upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in those times where we do feel low. And that's why having a beautiful dua that gets you excited will lift you up in those times where you do feel like, oh, I'm tired. I just wanna find my husband.
You have anything to add?
I had so many thoughts. I was like, wow. Okay.
You feel free.
I'm just enjoying.
Feel free.
This is how I am normally when... By the way, Hannah is one of my very good friends. And I'm so glad to have found her. So when she's speaking, I'm always in awe. And I always try to praise Allah, not give her nazar.
Yeah.
You're so beautiful.
No, I mean, in conclusion, basically, you have to have both. And like you said, there's stages where you go to a certain point where you think you've done enough, and then you've acquired enough knowledge to realize, wait a minute, there's more things that I can do. So it's actually more of the recognizing the tools, but relying on Allah is always there.
Yes.
MashaAllah.
Honestly, right now we have a course for single Muslim ladies, and they think that they are coming in to get married, but what they discover inside the course is it blows their mind. Like,
that's what I was.
Wow.
I really wanted to say that when you guys are describing all this, it shows that if a woman is willing to work on herself, you know, Allah will help her in finding the husband.
Yes.
But if you don't have like that self-value for yourself, that kind of stops you
From building yourself.
from, you know, actually finding a spouse.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm
Because
scared to even
it's
say
about
that.
the mentality. Imagine, I'll give you a simple example. Imagine a lady who's saying, I've did everything, I've tried my best, and I'm not finding anyone. And imagine another lady who's like, I want to get married. I'm going to do everything that I'm going to upskill myself. I'm going to get courses. I'm going to learn. Imagine the man looking at those two ladies. Who is he going to be attracted to?
A high value
Obviously.
man. Yeah.
See, like it's basic.
Even as a female, I'm attracted to
Yeah, someone who
Exactly.
is more
other
constructive
male.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, so it comes down to like your mindset will attract the type of guy you want. So if you're sitting there feeling helpless and feeling sorry for yourself, well, guess what? You're going to attract a very low value man, because a high value man's not going to find you attractive. Though if you're a person that does the work, and that's why Ammar really loved speaking to me, because he could see that I've done the work, and that's why he loved having our conversations, because he knew that our conversations were going to be substance. It wasn't going to be, you know, low level. And so the type of woman that you are is going to attract the type of man that you're seeking.
Beautiful. MashaAllah. So hopping on to the next topic, which is the online space. Scary. So, I mean, we live in a social media time and everything is online. Even there's apps, meeting, you know, the halal in a halal proper way. But it was a taboo. I don't know whether it's still a taboo. Is it still a taboo of finding people online nowadays? I mean, it was a taboo back in the day. When we met, it was a taboo. Why is it taboo? And do you think that we can change this perspective of online meeting?
Because
I love this
taboo
question.
is actually there because something has gone wrong.
Yes,
It's not
Yeah.
a fluff, you know.
not.
It's there
Yeah.
for a reason.
100%.
So
So
how
I mean, I
can we-
guess so. I mean, like, if I think about it, I mean, if I have a daughter, especially, I mean, like, if she comes up to me and say that, you know, I met someone from in the internet, I'll be like, no. You know what I mean? So maybe the taboo is still with me, but I mean, I'll put it on you guys to basically convince me to be okay with it.
okay,
So all the dads and the mums listen.
Oh, I have okay. I'll share a little bit about my story of the online space. So for me, when I heard about those online marriage apps, I thought they were like, how are they halal? How are they safe? How do you know if somebody's genuine? I had all of these limiting beliefs about the online space myself. And it's not until I came across a family friend and she told me her experience. She was on the online space for 9 months and she met her husband, and I was blown away because I knew who her husband was. I was like, man, he's such a good guy. He was online and you met each other and it was safe and it wasn't. And that just blew my mind and opened the door for me. Like, okay, you can meet somebody online. And that I think, first of all, is knowing success stories of people that you trust and you love that have gone on the online space. Just really solidifies that it can work for you, and that it is possible, that there are quality people. It's not like every person on there is a drop kick or somebody that just wants to Tinder swindler like you or any of that. And the second thing is, once I was okay with it, and it broadened my perspective, like, okay, why not? Why am I limiting myself? Like my coach, beautiful Amira, would tell me, Hannah, you're looking in your backyard. You need to expand your net for the potentials, and the online space gives you that beautiful opportunity to now expand your potential and find people. And the second thing is, I went and spoke to my dad, and I just want to give you context about my dad. So my dad is a migrant to Australia. He came to Australia about 40 years ago. He's in his 60s. He's Egyptian, he's, mashallah, doctor, qualified. And I sat with him and I told him, hey, did you know that our family friend met online, and I'm thinking about going online too? To give you a context, you would say that if you just looked at my dad, he would think the online space is taboo, that he would shut it down immediately. And my dad's been very overprotective over me growing up. Like, I couldn't go out past 9 o'clock growing up, like things like that.
Are you the only girl?
I'm the only girl. So, and I was the only one living with my dad since my mum passed away. So you would think that if you looked at my dad, he would definitely think it's taboo.
The person who's going
of taboo, right? But subhanAllah, you know what he said to me? He's like, yeah, go online. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's amazing. Go for it. And why did my dad say that? Because he trusted me. He trusted that I knew how to handle myself, that he knew he didn't have to sit down with me and say, oh, how's it halal? How are you going to? He knew that I had already my standards of how to function as a high quality Muslim, and that I had the tools to navigate myself. So my dad wasn't worried for me. He didn't need to say, oh, be careful. There was never that conversation.
So you would say the cause of it being a taboo is not really the parents, it's actually the person itself.
Yeah. The person's mentality. And also it could be a taboo because the parents might not even know what the online space is. So maybe they just need a success story of somebody. Maybe you need to show them what the online space is, so that maybe this is the first time they've come across the online space.
Just wait for them to get in. Are you going to interrupt?
Interrupt.
Okay. Hannah, go speak a bit, and then
so it just shows that maybe you just need to show them what the online space is, because maybe they've never seen what an app is, and for them you're talking a different language. So
And a fact, when we matched first on the application, we were speaking, and I remember Hannah asked me about the non-negotiables, and she was asking me, "Are you willing to relocate?" And
relocate for our viewers.
Relocate is like
Australia. You were in Australia.
Yeah, and I was here, so
Dubai. Yeah.
I was like, actually, no. Like, we just it was me starting. Me and my father just started a business, veterinary clinic, and I was loving that time. I'm working with my dad. It's like I'm re-meeting my dad again. So for me, the answer was like, no. I'm not really willing to relocate. And I asked her the same question. It was no. And it was a hard time because we said, all right, this is
that's basically a no.
It's not gonna work. So we didn't want to continue the conversation if we knew both this is not gonna work.
It was too hurtful.
And we had to unmatch. We actually unmatched. And after 2 days,
I spoke to my dad 2 days later, and I'm like, hey Baba, like I've met this really great guy, and I was telling him about Ammar, and I'm like, but you know what the only thing is, Baba? He's like, what? I said, he lives in Dubai. And you know what his response was? I was expecting his response to be like, Manish, it's okay, next time. There's a lot of other people you can get to know. He's like, so what? You don't know where your nasib is? Why are you limiting yourself? Again, and I want to emphasize that this is an Arab man in his 60s. And subhanAllah,
very, very Middle Eastern.
Very Middle Eastern, but yet, subhanAllah, it just shows that his mindset and mentality that why are you limiting yourself? He could have easily said, yeah, no, I don't want you to relocate. No, you have to be with me. He could have said all of those things, but subhanAllah, it just goes to show how much trust he had in me and in the process. And subhanAllah, if it wasn't for my dad, I would have not rematched Ammar, because it's like, pray istikhara and see how you feel. And I did. I prayed istikhara, and then I rematched Ammar. I'm like, hey, I spoke to my dad.
I was shocked. I was like, what? Why are you talking there?
MashaAllah. And both of your dads are doctors, because you just said, right?
They look the same.
They even look
you
the
need
same.
to see a photo of them. They're like a copy and paste.
Photos in the link below.
They're the same height. They've got the same hair, and they're both doctors. One is of animals, one of is humans, and they literally look like brothers.
SubhanAllah.
That's a sign. So we'll go on to next question, and it's about compatibility. So in one of your podcasts, you said you guys were discussing this topic, and you said that there's not only one person compatible to you, but hundreds and thousands. So beyond, how do you know someone is compatible with you? And then is it just enough if they're compatible with you? Like, is there something beyond that you should be looking for?
Yeah, beautiful. So I'm going to answer it. There's 4 stages of when you're getting to know someone. So the first one is admiration. That means you admire them, as in like you find the other person attractive. It's one way. It's like you are interested in them, right? So that's admiration. That, again, you still don't have a relationship at that point. The next level then moves to mutual attraction. So that person's attracted to you, you're attracted to them. You feel like, okay, there's chemistry here. There is a conversation that could happen. There's a sense of connection that's happening here. The third one then moves to compatibility. So compatibility then means that you have shared values. And that's what we mean by compatibility. People think, compatibility is we like the same ice cream, we like to do the same hobbies. That's not necessarily compatibility.
Or we follow the same religion.
Oh, is that what it is? No? So I got the wrong impression as well.
Many people think that actually it's no, because you're not trying to find somebody. A lot of people try to find the male version of themselves or the female version of themselves in another person. Like, oh my God, they love the same breakfast as me. That's not necessarily compatibility. That's just a similarity. Compatibility is when your values are aligned. And what does mean your values are aligned is the things that are most important to you are also very important to him, and you see eye to eye on that. So for example, my top value was religion and Islam. And so it's not just like I am Muslim. For me, it meant a specific way of how I like to show up Islam. And I was looking for that in Ammar. So I would ask him very specific questions about how he practices Islam and what does Islam mean to him and his relationship with Allah. And that's what we mean by compatibility. And also compatibility means that you have similar life visions for each other, like in your life. So for example, I had a very clear life vision of I wanted to set up my own coaching business. I wanted my husband to be a coach and I wanted to, spread.
She drew our life forward.
Like for me, it was all about impact and growth. And then when I found that Ammar is also all about impact and growth, I'm like, we do have compatibility. So it's not looking for similarities. We're looking for values match, and that we're looking for a life vision match. And then after that, you're looking for now the 4th level, which is commitment. And when we say commitment, it's like you and him are willing to do the steps to make this relationship work. It's not like him saying, I'll speak to your dad next month. I'm not ready yet financially. That's not a committed relationship. Committed is like, there's this beautiful analogy. It's like you're looking for somebody that's also a builder. So imagine you have like a plot of land and you want somebody in that plot of land not to just dream about what that plot of land is going to look like for you. You want somebody that's going to actually build that house and that vision with you. So, and commitment is the action of building. So that's what I would say. There's the 4 levels, and that's what you actually want to prioritize. Many women come to me and say, I have this amazing connection with a guy. Great, you have an amazing connection with a guy, but that's just not enough. You need to have that compatibility, which is that life values and mission, the life mission, your life mission and your vision for your life, and also your values are compatible, and that you are building something together. It's not just like you are the one dreaming and he's dreaming about something different. It just doesn't work. So yeah.
Again, a million thoughts are running through.
Well, you mean you have a lot of follow-up questions?
Yeah, I was like, whoa. But what I wanted to say, when you explain those 4 steps, I've always had little fear of having a daughter, because my mum raised me very well, my mum and my dad, but specifically my mum. She gave me those tools without even knowing, what those tools were, and it helped me finding Azim. But now that you're naming them, this is what it is. Yeah. I feel like, okay, maybe I can do it as well, provide that guidance and advice.
In a more structured manner.
In a more structured, like I know what it is. Yeah. My mum, alhamdulillah, through life experiences, she extracted those and tried to give it to me. But now you guys are providing like structured tools for parents.
Yeah, even the word, I can't even say the word. Yeah, now I know that. I don't even know what it means then. You know what I mean? I think that's something that you you have the same, like you said, you make the comparison between compatibility and similarity, which is a different thing.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Moving on to the next question, dealing with family dynamics. We kind of have, from what we've seen, there's two main scenarios. One is, this is the guy I love. Family, please keep your opinion to yourself. And then there's another scenario where you run everything by your family and then you get all sorts of opinions. And then, so what I want to know is either of them correct or both of them are incorrect and there's something else, another solution? And is the presence of family, second question, is the presence of family important in this process of finding
the topic that we have is finding the one, or finding the love of your life, right? Is that love only for that person or also the people that comes with that person?
Beautiful questions.
I believe...
that was 4 questions.
Point 1.
Honestly, I believe family is a vital component of marriage. So when you are seeing the compatibility with a person, you also need to see the compatibility between the families. And Islam promotes that. It's not only relationship between a man and woman and marriage and that's it. No, actually you're building many relationships with their families, and their families are building a relationship with the other families. So it's vital. It's you need to see that. And honestly, it would come to the point that if I'm compatible with this person, most probably sometimes it's not, but most probably their parents, because if they were raised in this environment and they became the person that they are, their parents and their family is going to be almost the same. So yeah, for me,
before I lose this, by family, who are we referring to?
So we're talking more about immediate family, like
mom, dad,
siblings, mom, dad.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I think you are saying about extended.
No, I'm talking about
for immediate.
Yeah, but I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're talking
because
about
extended family.
Yeah, that's a different.
There are different families coming in.
Mm.
That happens as well.
Yeah. And that's where boundaries also need to come in, which are really important, and that's why the couple also need to agree on who's actually involved in the decision making process and who.
Is this something that you would discuss in your life coach? I mean, in your coaching.
Yeah.
In terms of the
boundaries.
The boundaries and also the influence that the families have.
Yeah, 100%. Boundaries are very, very important, and we teach women how to set boundaries and what boundaries that need to actually be set. So just as Ammar said, families are really important because you're not just going to interact with your husband, or you're not going to just interact with your wife. Your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, their siblings are going to have an impact in your life, especially when you're raising children. They're going to be involved too. So the family is really important, and it can cause a lot of grief if they're not on the same page as you. Like the dynamics can can cause a lot of drama between even just how the wedding is planned and what expectations are. So it's very important that there is an alignment between the families, and there is an alignment between what they see as eye to eye.
So now we've agreed upon that family's presence is very important and crucial.
Yeah.
Then how do you set boundary between yourself as a couple as well?
Okay, beautiful.
And I find this very tough thing to do.
Honestly, it's communication. The couple needs to communicate what their preferences are, and then once they agree on it, they need to set those boundaries. And they need to also communicate it to their families.
Which is very hard.
It is.
It is very hard.
Yeah.
But now that I'm reflecting on a lot of our relationship, these communication is really key.
It is key.
If we have, for example, Azim and I would agree on something, and then we would go to our families and then calmly explain it to both of them. Yeah. And that helped.
100%.
But if we're not, there are scenarios we've witnessed that when the couple's not in line, the girl goes complaining to her family. And then that's when...
Yeah.
And I want to comment. It is hard, but it's not harder than having problems between you and your spouse because there is no connection, there's no communication. It's going to be harder to deal with the consequences of you not communicating with each other.
Because boundaries is like a risk assessment. You either have you have to deal with consequences. You got to choose which consequence you want to deal with. So if I'm saying I want to set boundaries, yes, the consequence is going to be hard. I have to deal with the consequence of it being hard. Though if I say no, which is the other scenario, I have to deal with the consequence that me and my husband or me and my potential partner or me and my family are not going to be on the same page. So which hard do you want to choose? Which consequence do you want to choose? So it's about it's almost like a risk assessment. You got to choose what you actually want to deal with, because yes, they are going to come with consequences, and yes, it is hard. Though when you know how to set loving boundaries in a really beautiful way, then it makes your life easier. You can set boundaries in a very soft, beautiful way, but still communicate your preferences. So yes, exactly what you said, that the couple, even when they're getting to know each other, they need to be on the same page, and then they need to go to their respective families and set boundaries about involvement, etc., about how they want things done.
So what you said reminded me of something. So when you meet a potential person and you're trying to get married, you kind of don't see yourself as a family, maybe because you don't have children, and you see your immediate family still as
your
family.
actual family.
Yes.
I remember once my mum sat me down and she's like, "This is gonna be really tough, but your family is Azim, even though it's a single person.
Yeah.
So now he's your immediate family." And I was like, okay, then I could prioritize.
So beautiful.
So I think we're afraid to even accept.
Okay, I guess this is the point I was making, where I find it that it can be hard for some people. Was exactly this point where it's hard to kind of like set that boundary between your family and your spouse. And
Love the idea of just seeing yourselves as the team, though. It's really it's so important when you see yourself as a team, and then you also see your family as your team, well. Yes, you and your spouse are a team, but yes, you and your family are also a team. So when you see that, you're just helping those relationships come together in a lot more smoother way.
Inshallah.
So the next question is about overcoming the barriers of finding the one. And in the search of finding the love of your life, you tend to get really exhausted, whether that's online or not online. When you receive all these failures and, all these people that mismatch, you kind of get demotivated. So what is something that generally happens where women are like, or men are like, I don't want to do this anymore? And what can help with that for them to last longer in that search?
So I get a lot of women coming to me saying, Hannah, I'm absolutely burnt out. I've tried online. The online space sucks. They make huge generalizations because they're tired, because they've been on the app. And this is my theory, is that you've gone on the app without the tools. You've gone on the app without the support. You've gone on the app without having the tools to support you in your whole self-care. So part of what I do is with women is setting them up for success. Like one of the first core things we do in the course is, what am I going to do to look after myself on this journey, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally? What can I do to look after myself in a self-care way? And what strategies can I start implementing? So once you have strategies in place, that avoids that burnout. Once you know the tools of time wasters and people that you're speaking to on the app, it's going to minimize the amount of mismatches and the amount of time wasters. You're going to know who's compatible, who's actually committed when you have the tools. So that's going to mitigate a lot of that burnout. Burnout happens when you don't have a plan for yourself. And some women can spend hours scrolling on the app, and that's tiring. So part of also what we do in the course is we help you come up with a time management system for yourself. Okay, so how long am I going to actually spend on the app daily? What am I going to actually be doing? So I split it into 3 categories. First category is talking to potentials. Second category is looking at who matched you. And the third category is you researching other potentials. So how much time am I going to spend in these 3 categories on a weekly basis? What works for my schedule? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 20 minutes? Is it 1 hour? What works for me? So once you have all of those things in place, it's going to mitigate a lot of burnout. And also having the right support system. So you might say, but Hannah, I have no one. Actually, part of what we do as well is helping you identify the people in your life that you can lean upon them, and how you can have a conversation with them to support you on this journey, rather than just saying, hey, I'm going online. Awesome. You need to actually tell them, hey, I'm going online and this is what I need you to do for me. And that's exactly what I did with my best friend, Yasmin. She was that my go-to support system. And I outlined with her exactly what I needed from her while I was going on online. Like, I need this, and I need this from you. And that helped her show up better for me in my relationship with her on this journey. And that avoids, again, a lot of burnout.
As you're saying this, I realize that we put so much effort when it comes to our career. We put so much effort when it comes to setting up a business or even like decorating your house. Everything is with strategy, except for marriage.
I'm with you.
For the important stuff.
Yeah, except for marriage, except for when you're having children,
raising kids.
I think that kind of come from the fact that we have the mentality that
it's written for you.
It's written for you. Yeah.
But like everything is written for you. Your risk is written for you.
I know, but there's always that phrase that always goes around. You know, you're so which is true. I mean, obviously it's written for you, but maybe that's the reason why people are not putting as much effort into.
But with everything else, we know that it's written for us. But our effort level,
is it because it's really hard? Like, is that what you get from most of your clients? Should I say clients? Yeah.
I wouldn't say because it's really hard. I say it's just a lack of knowledge that you can do something about it. Like, I don't just have to sit and wait, because that's the narrative that's been told to a lot of these women. You just sit and wait and make dua, and then it will come to you. And so it's when we change that script, actually, no, look at these great women in Islam, like Khadija radiallahu anha. She asked the Prophet ﷺ for marriage. Like, she didn't just sit and wait, I wonder if he's interested in me. No, she took action. So when we change that narrative and script, then subhanAllah, so much changes. And just to add on what you were saying about, not investing in that, subhanAllah, we always use this example when we're speaking to clients of, like, imagine you learn to drive, you have never driven a car before. You've never sat in a car, you've never driven a car before, you've never taken lessons. What will happen if you get into that car? It would be a drastic car crash, right?
Yes.
So we have that same standard for when we're studying, when we're doing a career, when we're learning to drive a car. Why don't we have that same standard when it comes to finding a spouse? As you
was explaining, the one thought comes to my mind is that, do we have any lesson of this in school?
Oh, man.
Finding.
If we start talking about school
but we don't.
And education.
No, as we were talking, because I'm thinking now, you have we have
lessons for intimacy. But we don't have lessons, to find the right person to be intimate with.
Yeah.
So that just frustrated me.
Because we have, as you say, we have lessons for everything, but finding the right person has never been.
It's the thing that can break.
Sorry, I just went on a tangent.
Yeah. Sorry, there's something else.
Another line of talk.
Before I forget, you mentioned in one of your podcasts all these Disney movies and all these love stories. I find. You said that this is also the problem, where we think this is how it's done. One is believing that it's written for you and just sit and wait for it.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is you watch these movies and then you assume that it will go along this way. I don't have to do much.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I feel like these movies, these Disney movies, have really shattered our opinion of what actually even love is. Like, what does love actually mean? Is love just a feeling, or I believe that love is an action. It's a doing word. It's a verb. It's not a noun. It's not something you just feel. It's the actions that come associated with love. And also these Disney movies, like you said, just like this Prince handsome is going to come save me and we're going to live happily ever after, without actually showing you what a true relationship looks like.
But subhanAllah, it depends on the journey, because some of the people will get the Prince Charming to just show up and get married. Right?
It can happen.
Yeah.
And I guess
I'm talking about the assumptions you make even within the marriage. It carries on. I feel like it's not just little things, big things. It's the little things as well that you imprint. It's imprinted in your head that he has to do certain things
to
show me love. And if it is different, like Azim expresses his love differently, I don't recognize that.
And that just, like, I love what you're saying there, because then it's this automatic assumption that love is just something that he will know how to give you
without
even asking. Without, how would he know how you love to receive love? And that's why there's this beautiful, I don't know if you come across it, the 5 love languages, where you get to know how you love to receive love and how he loves to receive love. And it's so beautiful because then you can give him love in the way he wants, and then and vice versa. So subhanAllah, I love what you're saying there. It's just these movies have just automatically have shifted our assumption of what actually love is.
Inshallah, we're thinking to direct ourselves in couples relationship coaching.
Yes.
Later on, inshallah, after
That would be
we
amazing.
succeed.
I thought you wanted to say to create a Disney movie or something. I was like,
a real Disney movie.
Yeah, a real halal love story. That would be amazing. And now going to the next question, which is mindset for love and marriage. Okay, we talked a lot about this, how you have to have a certain mindset in order to be successful and fine, like have high values in order to attract a high value male or a female. So just going on back on that, what are some of those mindset shifts that need to occur before you even go to speak to someone?
I love that. Just getting to know yourself. Once you get to know yourself, what's important for you, what are your blocks, what are the things that are getting in your way, what are your values, then it allows you to then show up and look for a potential spouse. So those are the mindset shifts that need to happen. Like, let me give you an example from one of the ladies that is doing the course with us, the single to married course. What she mentioned was through doing the course, she uncovered a big block that she never thought she was worthy of love. And as a reason for that, she was attracting a certain type of man and like undervalued herself in relationships. And it was through doing that work that she realized, hey, I actually do deserve a beautiful love. I do deserve to be treated right and with respect. And subhanAllah, that now opens her horizon to actually show up differently when she's getting to know potential. So mindset shifts shift everything, and how you show up with everyone, with potentials. So yeah, it moves yourself from the blame victim mode to this empowered state.
This is irrelevant, but I wanted to talk about oversharing. So is this a part of mindset, where you meet people, and often I've had friends where they meet someone and they haven't established a concrete relationship or commitment, and they've overshared a lot of things,
So
about themselves,
about they would discuss things that's so irrelevant, and it would either the guy would not be attracted anymore, but later on in the marriage it's fine, but they would share it at the very beginning. This is so irrelevant, but
no, it's a beautiful question.
Common.
How we have this beautiful analogy where it's like your relationship's like a bank account, whereas it's like a bank account. What do you put? You put deposits in, and then you withdraw money as well.
Basically the trust that you're building within the relationship.
So what that metaphor is then is that in your relationship there's trust, and so depending on where the level of deposits and withdrawals are in the relationship, you start to share more information. At the beginning of the relationship, you wouldn't share everything because there's no commitment yet from either one of you. So you're still building up that bank account. So once it reaches a certain level of deposits, then you start to share more deeper, more intimate things about yourself, and vice versa. You wouldn't expect him to share all of his deepest, darkest secrets when you first get to know each other.
Yeah, so that's definitely no then.
Because we get this question again. That hey, some of the ladies, they have this expectations like, I'm gonna ask all these questions and I'm demanding all the answers back, which is not true. It's
they send like 10 questions in one go.
Yeah, and you need to answer them, and some of the questions could be like really vulnerable. So the expectation is really not real. So it's a relationship that needs time, and you need to build that. And then once you develop that trust, then and there's commitment, then you can start asking those vulnerable questions to understand the person better.
And just I would just a little side note, the person that is oversharing, I would get them to ask themselves, for what purpose are they oversharing? Are they doing that because they feel like, oh, I need to put everything on the table so that, just in case I get rejected? Is it fear of rejection? Where is this actually coming from? Because it sounds like they're doing this because there is a block or there's some sort of wound there they haven't addressed. So I would ask that person, for what purpose are you oversharing?
No, I think people overshare, maybe possibly they just want that person to know, whatever, if it's a bad thing, just know now. If you want to say no to me now, say it now, not later. I think,
or showing that they are very honest.
Really?
That's another reason why women tend to throw everything.
Yeah, it's beautiful that they want to be honest. It's beautiful that they want to get everything on the table. Though again, there has to be levels of commitment in the relationship, and you have to build that trust bank with someone. You can't just go and share everything, every intimate detail about you. It's okay if things take time to share with another person, and not being angry at the other person if they took time to share something really vulnerable in their life. Accepting that from them, that they needed a certain level of trust, because you need safety in order to share something that's vulnerable.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. You cannot share, like, imagine meeting a stranger and telling them about you. It's hard. Yeah. It's scary until that person shows you that you're safe, no matter what you share, because that's what we're looking in relationships. We want to make sure that this person is never going to run away no matter what I do. That's exactly what people are looking into in relationships. So part of sharing what's vulnerable for you is that you need to make sure that this person is going to accept you for who I am, no matter what I do in my life.
And the things that you tell them is safe with them.
Yeah. And that is a very, very vulnerable space when you're meeting a potential spouse, because they can choose to not continue with their relationship, and that's a lot
of information.
Yes, and that's for us to be okay with rejection. Like being okay. If that other person's not comfortable with that, it doesn't mean that I'm bad or there's something wrong with me necessarily. It just means that they weren't comfortable for their space. So it's, again, being comfortable with the idea of this person might reject me, and that's okay, even if I do share XYZ later on.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because we didn't speak about rejection.
What I really want to add is, like, what we say sounds really easy to say, but it's really hard. And like it takes a lot of commitment and
courage.
And work, and like how long did it take you, the process of having your coach Amira?
Like I've been with her for 3.5 years.
Yeah. So it's never ending. It's not like, this is hard work. It's not just easy things that we're saying and we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like we are in one of your classes.
We're really enjoying this,
and talking about your classes and about the amazing things that you guys are doing. Muslim Love Coach. First of all, I love the name Muslim Love Coach. Yeah, very bold, very nice. Even the design is really nice. So can you just kind of like go through the process of how did that the idea of Muslim Love Coach began with? Basically how it all started, and what is your vision for the company, and is there a goal that you guys want to reach, inshallah?
But before you guys go on, I want to acknowledge you guys for what you're doing. It's vulnerable that you guys are even choosing to do this, because there's a lot of people are even afraid to go towards this direction because of the responsibility that comes with it. But it shows how confident you guys are in what you're doing, that you're taking this responsibility. But I want to thank you guys for even opening this for the Muslim community. There's not much of it.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Jazakallah khair. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for all the work that you're doing, and thank you for allowing us to collaborate with you to have this beautiful discussion today. Alhamdulillah. Where Muslim Love Coaches came from was, like I said, I, alhamdulillah, got married, and then other ladies started coming to me saying, Hannah, how did you do it? Like, teach us the way. We're willing to do the hard work. We know that you're not there to just give us some magic solution. That's not what we do. We don't just give you this magic solution.
Or advice.
Some people have this warped view about what we actually do. No, what we do is we empower you to have the tools and the resources to do the hard work yourself. You're doing the hard work. We're not doing your hard work. We're not actually you need to invest in that. So it came about where there was this demand of Muslim women saying, I'm in my 30s, never been in a relationship, I don't know where to find someone. It just that story just kept coming up and up and up, and we're like, okay, well, let's do something about it. And so we came across, we were just brainstorming, okay, so let's do something for single Muslims, because we went through that. We understand the struggles of what it means to be a single Muslim trying to find love and wanting to have a family of your own. So we're like, yeah, let's do that. Let's go help the community, because alhamdulillah, we have the resources and the tools. So why are we going to hold back? Like, it's wrong. It's almost haram for us to hold back on this knowledge and these tools. So that's where we came up with this concept of Muslim Love Coaches. And our mission is to help 5 million single Muslim women worldwide to have the tools to be in a healing, nourishing and Allah-centered relationship. Because we believe if we start with single Muslim women having the tools, then inshallah they're going to have beautiful relationships, which then means beautiful families and then beautiful communities. So that's how we want to contribute to the ummah, inshallah.
Inshallah, beautiful.
And the community you guys are creating, it's going to lift a lot of taboos, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much
Oh, it's a
for
pleasure.
coming to our podcast. We thoroughly enjoyed it. And we've learned a lot, and I'm sure we're going to continue learning a lot
We're
of
very
things.
sad it's ending.
Yes,
Mashallah.
But we can continue.
We can
off
continue
camera.
off camera.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure everyone will benefit from this
Sorry,
video.
I'm actually not done yet.
Bismillah, ask.
For how I got introduced, I was friends with Hannah for some time. We worked in the same school. Hannah never told me that she's a life coach. And then we were discussing something, and one day she said that she has a podcast that I could listen to, and my friends could listen to, that could benefit. And I was like, podcast? Okay, I had never done a podcast before. I wasn't even listening to so many podcasts then. So I decided to press the link and listen to it. The first thing, I love detail and I love professionalism. It was so good. The sound system was great. Everything was great. The footage, everything was amazing and so structured. That's the first attraction point. And I couldn't believe that this person I've met is so amazing, and it's so she's so knowledgeable, and she never even mentioned it. So, but what is this podcast about? It blew my mind. It was her journal. She journaled her journey of finding Brother Ammar. And this is at the time that she wasn't married. So what she's saying is very vulnerable. I would love for you to just explain what it is. Because I feel like a lot of women could tune in and benefit. Not just women, but men as well.
Yeah.
And her, I'm going to go on. Her thought process of when, like, for example, when she met him, she had certain thought processes and she would actually speak about it. So the whole, it's so raw and it's so authentic. And even though I was married when I was listening to it, I benefited so much.
Thank you so much for your beautiful words.
Amazing.
Alhamdulillah, Allah allowed me to meet you at this school. I feel like that's the only reason why we went to we were working at that school. We started at the same time and we ended there at the same time. So subhanAllah, I'm so grateful to have you in my life. So alhamdulillah, it's a beautiful rizq that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to me. So thank you so much, Habibti, for your beautiful words. So what my podcast was, a part of how I was proving to myself and showing Allah that I have yaqeen was, I'm going to record my journey. Like, I'm going to eventually release this podcast. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how many episodes or seasons. But for me, it was like, I know that this is going to happen and I know I'm going to have a beautiful love story to tell and I know it's going to benefit so many people, but I don't know what it is. So I just started recording my journey, basically. So I was just describing, hey, this is where I'm at right now and this is what's coming up. And then the next episode, hey, this is what came up and this is what I found. So for me, it was like that convincing myself, I do have yaqeen. I know this is going to happen. And I can't wait to tell the story. So I'm going to start telling the story now before I even started. So yeah, so that's what the podcast is. And so it starts off by saying, I don't know how long this episode is, these series are going to be. I don't know who my future husband is, but he's going to be sitting right here next to me in the final episode. And the first question I'm going to ask him is, where have you been all along? And subhanAllah, episode 10, fast forward to episode 10, Ammar was sitting right next to me. And the first thing I asked him was, where have you been all along? And he answered.
Did Ammar know about this podcast when you were, right? When you were meeting, when you were speaking to him?
No, he didn't. Because it wasn't launched. It wasn't out for public. It was just my private thoughts.
You need to tell them about the grey jumper.
Yeah, I did tell them about that.
Yeah.
I
Did it
think-
fit you?
Yeah.
It did?
Yeah.
Even if it didn't, he'll
Give
make
it-
sure it fits.
She showed it to me the first, I think it was the first time you came here.
Yeah, when I first came here.
So we did
Yes.
our khutuba,
Our engagement.
and then she was like, I'm going to tell you something. I was like, what? She told me about the story of the great jumper and
Yeah.
how she made that dua.
Yeah.
And really touched me. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's really
Mashallah.
beautiful, mashallah.
That she was already preparing for you specifically.
Subhanallah.
And it fit him
Mashallah.
perfectly, and he was amazed that it fit him perfectly too.
Alhamdulillah. it
Not
Alhamdulillah.
anymore, but
Even if it didn't, we would cut it up and make sure it fits.
As like it
Alhamdulillah.
fit before.
So yes, I really recommend women, men, mothers, fathers, everyone to listen to this podcast.
On that note, I'm going to make sure that there's going to be another episode, but it's going to be me and Brother Ammar.
Oh,
Because a lot of questions I want to ask.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Beautiful. That's
Inshallah.
amazing.
well, they need to make sure to like and subscribe
Please,
and share the video.
Thank you.
Yes.
If you like the video, please subscribe, like, and we will leave all the links below, inshallah.
Inshallah.
and the photo of the great jumper.
The photo of the great jumper,
Inshallah.
yes, inshallah.
Yes.
Jazakallah khairan for having us.
Thank you.
We-
Thank you very much.
We're excited to have so many more conversations and
Inshallah.
episodes with
Thank
you,
you.
inshallah.
Beautiful.
And may Allah continue to bless Kalam and the amazing work we
Ameen.
do. We love your games so
Yes.
much. We introduced it to our family, and we can't wait for future
You're
games.
very committed, Gus.
Inshallah.
I'm waiting for the second game. Yallah, where's the next
Inshallah.
game coming
Ready.
up?
Coming soon.
Inshallah.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa
Assalamu
barakatuh.